Welcome back. My next guest has the voice of an angel and has the Nigerian Idol award to prove it. Onyekachi Gilbert, better known as Yeka Onka. Welcome to TPI.
Thank you so much for having me.
So I need to call you by your full government name. Onyekachi Elizabeth Gilbert.
Onyekachi.
Onyekachi.
That's it.
Onyekachi Gilbert Elizabeth.
Yep.
Nwoku.
Onka.
Onka.
Yeah.
So that was my English version of your government.
I know. You did great. You did great.
It's a joy to finally meet you.
Such an honor to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for coming. I've seen you from a distance for many years now. One of the things that people normally refer to you as is the first ever winner of Idol in Nigeria. Now, for context, Nigeria is the biggest market for most things, including media, in Africa. And so the Idol franchise, that was one of its big spots.
Yes.
That and South Africa, and you were the first winner of it.
Yes.
What did that mean to you then?
It was life-changing, I would say, for someone who grew up in Aba. I'm sure a lot of us already know what Aba stands for. It's like the little China that we have in Nigeria. Growing up there, it was life-changing, not just for me, but also for the people in my community. People that were just, you know, you go through high school and then you get married, or for the meal, you go serve someone for 7 years and, you know, they set you up with a business, maybe a little kiosk somewhere down the street. You know, so it was that hope for the people in my community, knowing that someone made it out. And
someone made it out in such a big way. But when you talked about it, in the years after that, most people would know when they read the story now that you went through a string of rejections, and you would leave one city and go to audition in another city. Tell us about that and what informed that determination that you had not to stay silent once you got a no from somewhere to go to another city. Yeah, when I was a little girl, I made a decision that poverty was going to end with me. And that was because of an experience that I had when I was by myself. This is actually the first time I'm sharing that. I decided that no matter what life throws at me, that I'm gonna go out and be the light that I'm supposed to be, maybe the light for the people in the projects where I grew up in. Tell me about that moment. What happened? I mean, you were how old? I was about 5. A 5-year-old. What happened? What did you hear? What did you see to then, in your own moment as a 5-year-old, say, whilst you're by yourself, that, no, this stops with me? Yeah. What did you hear? What did you see? What happened to you? Yeah, it was a night that I was alone in the house, and there was a great storm that lifted the entire roof of the house, and I was the only person at home. I mean, I have siblings that are like much older than me, so nobody was home, it was just me. So the entire roof was off, and then the rain was just pouring in. And then I just crawled to the corner of where we lived and, you know, kind of like covered myself with a bunch of clothes, and I was just crying for help. You know, there was lightning and thunder and then the rain, and then I told myself that this has to end with me. And since then, I grew up with that determination that I was going to do everything in my power to make sure that this does not happen to the generation after me. And that was what helped me. That was what kept me going, even when I was rejected. So you overcome the adversity that you know would have crippled many. You hit the big time. And you win almost 8 million naira. This is when the naira was not what we're experiencing now. Even now, 8 million naira is a significant amount of money. Back then was even more. Yet for you, it was thereafter was a journey of brokenness. How is it that you can come from the slums, as you describe it? You're now a national star, an international star, actually, because you were traveling abroad. You had all this money, yet you end up, as we saw in a story that we did on you not so long ago.
Yes.
Broken and in your car. How does that happen?
I feel like I wasn't ready for that phase of my life. I say that because having gone through this years of wilderness, looking back, seeing how God took me through the journey and the things that I had to experience, it makes sense to me now. And just looking back, I'm seeing how God just put me through that to mold my person, the way I carry myself, the way I dress. And, you know, it makes sense because for someone in Aba, nobody taught us how to use the cutlery, nobody taught us how to walk or sit up or, you know, be a lady. So I feel like that molded me, and even Nigerian Idol was part of the experience that molded the person that I am today. So, yeah.
So for you, you can now look back and see how the adversity was part of God's molding. I'm intrigued. I want to talk more about your parents and music, because we all know you for being this incredible songstress with a massive voice, but your parents were musicians. I was asking you before we started that you have the records of your parents, and you said, how did you know? Well, you know, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. But there is one particular moment that I want to ask you about, and I just want to seed the idea now before we take a moment. You are, I think, maybe between 3 and 8 years old. It's your first composition, and I think it goes something like, oh
my God!
I want to know about that song, and I want to know the impact of it now when you think about it and you think about your father. Hold that thought.
Oh.
Don't go anywhere. We will be hearing more from the one and only queen of Igbo worship after the break.